Yesh Atid, הוא כבר כאן, Yesh Atid, כי הגיע הזמן.
Speaking of Hanukkah, we have a very special rabbi on the line, Rabbi Dov Lipman. He joins us via telephone. He is running for Knesset with the Yesh Atid party. I honestly do not know, in all honesty, I do not know a lot about the party. For those of you who know the show, I don't think we've ever talked about it here. This is a perfect opportunity to learn what the party represents. Rabbi Dov, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Josh. It's great to be on with you.
First of all, you are from Silver Spring, Maryland. You made Aliyah several years ago. You were involved in education, and you were also very involved in some of the community problems which took place, as people might know, in the town of Beit Shemesh. Tell us a little bit about Beit Shemesh and where things are today.
So as people know, there certainly were difficult times in the city where there was significant religious extremism in an open way, even in the streets of Beit Shemesh. Thank God, it's a year ago, Hanukkah, that we were able to rally the country to stop the extremism from happening as it was taking place on almost a daily basis. And thank God, since then, in terms of that civic issue, things have been quiet. There certainly is a broader political issue and fears that people have in terms of the direction of the city, and we're working very hard. We have a broad coalition from secular people through moderate Haredim who are working very hard to tackle that problem, and that really was my model in terms of how to explore and pursue solving problems on a national level. So right now we're in an exciting time in Beit Shemesh. The preparations for the municipal elections, which are next October, are underway, and we're very optimistic in terms of our future here.
So tell me, you are running for Knesset, correct?
Yep, it was announced Sunday night. It was officially announced at a really amazing ceremony in Shoham in front of a few hundred people, a beautiful ceremony where something happened that never happened in Israeli history before, and some of the current events from even today reflect on what I'm talking about, where the first 25 candidates in the Yesh Atid list introduced each other. We each introduced each other. We're a team that's come together to try to solve problems in the country, and it was just a breathtaking experience to really be a part of that.
Tell me, Yesh Atid, headed by Yair Lapid, that rhymes, I didn't even realize that, but tell me, what does the party represent in a nutshell? I know that there are many different issues that people are interested in, especially our listeners, many of whom are Anglos living here in Israel, or soon to be Anglos living here in Israel. God willing, everyone will make Aliyah very, very soon. What does Yesh Atid represent? And I'll be open and honest with you, I don't know. I'll be open. I mean, we've had Likud members on the show. We've had Yisrael Beitenu and Ariel Dodd, his party. We've had a bunch of different parties. Einat Wilf here from the Independence Party. We've had a lot of different parties on the show, representatives. What does Yesh Atid mean?
So very, very straightforward. All the members of the Yesh Atid list came to politics to run for the Knesset because they want to make change. It's time for new politics instead of the old politics. The old politics in Israel haven't worked. We see it on display today with people just running from party to party just to find a way to stay in Knesset, stay in power, and in the process, none of the major issues are being addressed. We live in a world today where the education in Israel, just as an example, we're 89th in the world in math, we're 42nd in science, we're 37th in reading comprehension. You talked about our desire for people to make Aliyah. The number one thing that will inspire people to make Aliyah is if we solve some of these internal problems in Israel, and one of those is in the realm of education. So we have a laid-out plan from A to Z how we want to get Israel back to the top 10 in the world internationally in education, and included in that is no question is adjustments to curriculum as well, where on the one hand, on the religious side, everyone has to be learning basic general studies, and on the secular side, everyone has to be having basic Jewish studies to understand why we're here, why we need this land, and who we are as a people. That's one example. To continue, the issue of equality and national service, a burning issue in the country today, which is polarizing the country in ways which I don't think most Anglos, most English immigrants even understand how deep the polarization is because of this issue. We sat down and we have a plan. It was worked out with generals on the one side and moderate Haredi leaders on the other side, and they sat down and made a plan which can work and we can put into place as soon as we get into the Knesset. So tackling these burning issues, certainly the housing crisis where Army veterans are not able to get subsidies from the government because the criteria doesn't fit them. How can we sit back quietly while that's happening? People who serve in the IDF are not getting the subsidies they need to be able to find housing as young couples. So we have a list of issues, which are major issues, certainly electoral reform, getting rid of the corruption in the government. And like I said, new politics. It's a breath of fresh air to see a group of 25 people who have been activists in their various areas, never set themselves on a path where the goal is to be in the Knesset, but realize that they've reached a stage where to make a difference, to make change, they have to come together and get into the political realm with a brand new party, with a new message, and it's very exciting.
Talk to me about, you mentioned a lot of issues, education, equality, national service. Talk to me about education vis-a-vis not necessarily science or math, where your statistics indicate we have a long way to go. Talk to me about Zionist education. What are your party's beliefs in terms of a need, if necessary, to give a push towards the next generation growing up here in Israel as proud, strong Zionists?
Yair Lapid, who's the leader of the party who put together this amazing organization, he's misunderstood, no question about it, in many different populations, and certainly in our population. I wouldn't say he's misunderstood. I would say people have heard things and therefore don't even open their eyes to give him a chance. My first opportunity to hear him was a speech he gave actually to a Haredi community in Kiryat Ono. He spoke to a college program there, and he talked about the fact that the religious side in Israel has demonstrated that our right to be here and our for being here is not what secular Zionism thought originally, but it is on the basis of our tradition and our Tanakh and our God. And it was an amazing moment to see someone who's identified as so secular saying that. Now let's work together and make this country great. Let's create a reason why the 1 million people from this country who are living in North America, they should come back and want to be here, or that we shouldn't have more leave. And a lot of that is based on the fact that they're not educated on the basics of why we're here. He, in his own talk, he talks about we're in the land where Yeshaya walked and Yechezkel walked and Yirmiyahu walked. He uses that kind of language. He has an expression which he uses where he says, how can it be that a child graduates 12th grade in Israel and hasn't seen a page of Gemara?
Right.
Hasn't seen it, doesn't understand where we're coming from. There's no question that has to change. We talk about Tanakh should not be taught in the public school system for Bagriyot, but it should be taught by people who have a passion for it and a love for it and can instill that into all the students. So there's no question that's a huge part of who we are, and that's a huge part, again, like I said, of why it's so important to be working together. The fact that Yair named Rabbi Shai Peron, a well-known religious Zionist educator, as the number 2 in his party is already a huge statement. That's a symbolism. It's a huge statement of Peron will be involved in every step of our education plan. And this is so important for people to hear. Here's an opportunity to say no more sectarian politics. I'm not part of the religious Zionist party. I'm not part of the Haredi party. I'm not part of the Chiloni party. I'm part of a party which is saying let's move forward for what's best for all of Israel.
So let's talk about the so-called peace process. Now, the mainstream media, okay, not a very reliable source. Those who know this show know that we don't go by the mainstream media in any way, shape, or form, whether it's news reporting, whether it's analysis, etc. Right now, the mainstream media has labeled your party one of these left of center parties, along with, let's say, Labor, Tzipi Livni's party, etc. Do you agree that your party fits into a particular category, whether it's left of center, or perhaps as the media got it wrong, and do you view yourself in terms of, we're talking politics now,
Sure.
in terms of politics, politically, it's vis-a-vis, especially the so-called non-existent, in my view, peace process. Where do you see yourselves on that spectrum? If it's fair to even classify you as existing on that spectrum.
You know, it's been amazing for me to see. The last 6 weeks I've been sitting in meetings. So I'm on the inside. I'm in the meetings with the leader of the party, with major players in the Israeli political scene. And I read the newspaper during the day. I go to a meeting at night, and I'm hearing 2 different things. The newspaper is talking about the center-left bloc to topple Netanyahu, and Lapid will join with this and that. And then I go to meetings, and there's not even an option on the table. We're not even discussing it. We're not left. We're not. There's a clear distinction, avodah, and I'm not here to bash other parties or bash other people. This is who they are. They're a socialist left party, and that's fine. People are entitled to their opinions, and that's not who we are. But I asked a reporter, I said, why are you reporting it that way? And he essentially told me off the record, but he said it's in our interest as the media to have a head-to-head with Netanyahu.
Right.
As long as we can keep this going, it's important for us to have that story. So they're creating a story. There is no story. Yesh Atid was not created to topple Benjamin Netanyahu. Yesh Atid was created to tackle problems in the country. If Prime Minister Netanyahu will work together with us to tackle these problems, we will be in the coalition. If he won't, then we'll build ourselves in the opposition. It's not a question of an agenda to topple a person or we don't trust him or the other. It's an agenda-driven party where we need to have these issues tackled. And by the way, all of these issues that I mentioned, I only mentioned some of them, they're all laid out on the website. They're all being translated. Most of them are in English already. It's there. The information is there. People can assess it. Do you agree with the education plan or not? Do you agree with the small business plan or not? Do you agree with the housing plan or not? And do you agree with our plan to deal with the draft issue or not? Look at it, read it, and be educated about it. And I want to tell you, Yair made a call to have a debate. He said he was jealous when he watched the presidential debates in America. Why can't we have that in Israel?
Right.
Everybody stand up and debate the issues. And I learned last night why. I was last night in a situation with a panel, and the issue is because people don't want to debate the issues. People want to take pot shots at each other, make the slide comments, score some points, get the people to laugh in the crowd. And then I stood up and I presented the problems and presented my... They didn't get involved in it all, but people don't want that. That's not as exciting. It's not as entertaining. We're here to bring issues back to the table. It's agenda-driven, and that's who we are.
So you actually answered my next question. I was going to ask you if you see potentially your party joining a coalition, and you've already answered that question. You said that if the ruling party, assuming it's Likud or an offshoot of Likud Beitenu, whatever you want to call it, is willing to sit down and make some of these changes as your party sees fit, then you are also willing to join the coalition. I'm going to skip here to the Anglo question, because this is a show in English, and a lot of our listeners are either Anglos here in the country or hopefully one day will be here in the country. There have been many attempts by different parties in order to reach out to the Anglo community, and I don't know, in terms of actual Knesset seats, it does not look like, unless you might be the only one, Anglo to be elected to the Knesset. It doesn't look like there is going to be a representative. Naftali Bennett comes from an Anglo origin. His parents were born and raised in the States, if I'm not mistaken. What is your party's goal vis-a-vis improving quality of life for Anglos living in Israel?
So as a first, if you take a step back for a moment, all the issues that I mentioned have to be issues which are, I think our issues are concerned to the Anglo public in Israel. I mean, we are people who certainly moved here and want to see us having the top education in the world. The people who moved here, we want to see unity. We want to see people working together. We want to see equality in the national service. We understand, certainly American Haredim understand that you can be Haredi and join the workforce and be involved in society. It's not a threat to who you are religiously. We understand that people need to have subsidies for housing. Certainly give it to the people who are the ones who are serving the country and risking their lives and giving up their lives for the country. Certainly small businesses understand how the middle class works, that it drives the economy. We understand that. We understand that we want a government which is not corrupt, a governmental system which works. So all of the issues, for the last 30 years, or 40 years, I should say, we've been driven very much by ideologies related to the external issues within Israel, that Israel has to deal with, and we've decayed as a people from within. And it's time to address those issues. And I think that all of us, we want to see our children growing up in a world in an Israel, where we don't have these burning issues within. And I have no doubt, and this is my own statement right now, but It's also based on all of our sources, that once we get ourselves together from within, then believe me, from above we'll be taken care of from without. Meaning, if we have a polarized society, if we have a society where people view themselves in boxes and in populations, and we're going to, how did we do for our population this past Knesset, instead of how did Israel do as a whole, the Messiah is not coming, there's no redemption coming, and we're not going to have any solutions. But I think that if we start dealing with our situations within and work together, then we will be able to tackle. So I think that English immigrants or people who are thinking about making Aliyah, these issues do speak to them. Now, aside from all that, there's no question that if I'm blessed to enter the Knesset, I will take on many of the issues which are specific to the English-speaking community. The way it essentially works is there's a party platform, and then each member of Knesset has an individual agenda which can fit under the general rubric of the party, but you have your agenda. There's no question there are specific needs that I see within our community. Many people turn to me regularly of struggles they have, especially with their children, after making Aliyah, and I try to help as much as I can. But there's no question on a governmental level, we can definitely attack and deal with many of these issues, and there's no question that Yesh Atid would very much support that.
Rabbi Dov Lipman, Yesh Atid, I want to thank you for your time. How can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about the party, they want to learn more about you personally, and how they can be involved?
Very straightforward. First of all, if you want to get involved, and my goodness, the number of especially young English-speaking immigrants that have gotten involved is way beyond what I imagined. It's English@yeshatid.org.il. That's number one. There's a Facebook page, very simply, Yesh Atid, YESH, and then ATID. Like the page, there's a daily update there. People can friend me individually on Facebook, Dov Lipman, and tell me you want to help and get involved, and I'll do whatever I can. And then the website itself, again, yeshatid.org.il. It's very clear. There are things in English there as well, and we're looking forward to many people getting involved. There's nothing, Josh, I'm telling you, and you're a person who's an activist, there's nothing like taking your future and putting it into your own hands and saying, I'm going to be part of it. Here's something new and fresh and real with idealistic people who are not looking for themselves, but looking for the good of the country. This is something I could be a part of. I don't have to be part of some complicated party structure and all the wheeling and dealing and corruption. Something fresh and new and have my place. There is nothing like contributing to Medinat Israel, to the state of Israel, like that. And every one of you that's listening can literally take the future of Israel into your own hands and get involved in Yesh Atid.
Rabbi Dov Lipman, I really, really appreciate your time. Now I definitely understand more about your party and about your aspirations. I also, most importantly, probably want to wish you and your Washington Redskins much luck in the NFL season. I know that this is a politics show, but we'll save a little time for football as well. So much luck to the Redskins.
Hail to the Redskins. We're on the bandwagon, and I hope they meet your Colts in the Super Bowl.
That would be nice. That would be great. But seriously, much luck to you and all your endeavors. And definitely want to talk to you and hook up in the near future, especially as we get closer to the election. Want to hear all the latest, what's going on in the party and what's going on in general with the Israeli election set for the end of January. So I appreciate it. Chanukah Sameach, by the way.
To you as well.
And Shabbat Shalom. And keep up the good work. All the best.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
יש עתיד הוא כבר כאן, יש עתיד כי הגיע הזמן.